And welcome back. Well, welcome back to the channel. Most importantly, to each a good day. And what you can see here is some Diode Dynamics LED options. Now, in a previous video where we did the HID conversion, you can still see remnants of it here. We're in the process of actually putting the front fascia back on. Now, we've already upgraded. When we switched over to HIDs, we upgraded to the Diode Dynamics 6K HID bulbs. And when we did that, we also purchased some more items you can see here. So we've got the clear side marker lights. Because we had to take the front fascia off, we're going to take advantage of the opportunity to very easily access those side lights and go ahead and get them swapped out. So we got a set for the front, set for the back. And their kit does come with a very nice colored instruction manual that tells you how to get those off without having to remove the fascia from the vehicle. They also have a YouTube channel as well. Now we also got we went with SML9s. We went with a red. So all of our interior lights we're going to be switching out are going to be red in color, just like we did with a previous project vehicle, our 2010 red Ram. We are going to switch the, I'm sorry, it's a 2012 red Ram, my apologies. Interior lights are all going to be red, and the reason for that is that you don't lose your night vision when you're having to get something out of the vehicle in the middle of the night and you're using red interior versus a white interior. So we got 4 of these, which from my understanding on their website is going to be used on the interior doors. We got another pack of 2, which we're going to use to replace the lights in the trunk. We also have the map light bulbs, which we want with the HP5s. They're a little bit brighter. I think you have a choice between an HP3 and an HP5. These are the 5s, a little bit bigger, a little bit brighter. Also in red, as you can see. And we also picked up this for our license plate light. They sell this one as well. And we're just going to go ahead and get that changed out to a nice brighter white LED version of itself. Now, a lot of the lights on this particular 2018 are already LED, like the side marker lights in the front and the rear we're getting ready to change out are already LED. But you can see the difference in that these are clear versus the one when you see them. And we'll get over here shortly. We'll take these out and you'll see that they're just colored lenses instead of clear lenses. So with that being said, let me pause you, change out a camera battery, and I'll bring you back. One moment. And welcome back. So obviously you can see that we've got our fascia off, and again, because we were upgrading to HID lights. So we're going to take advantage of the easily accessible mounting hardware to get that light out of there. And it was held in by 2 T20 Torx, at least the front ones. We'll find out about the back ones when we get there. And you can see the factory one here, amber and orange, versus the Diode Dynamics replacements. And they do have a smoked option for these as well. And I'm kind of going with their suggestion here. They said for lighter color vehicles like this one being painted white, that the clear ones seem to accent the vehicle better, or at least in their opinion, as well as their customer reviews. But you know, to each their own. If you want to go smoke ones, by all means go smoked ones. So we're dealing with, this would be the left hand side of the vehicle, and that obviously would be the right. I don't know if you can see it listed on here. These are different between the two. And you can see that it says L for left. Maybe, hopefully you can see that. Now these are all shaped the same, but we get one out of the kit here. It may be hard to see that, but you'll see it written right there. It says front left hand. So this is be the one that we need to go to the left. And then all we have to do is literally just place it back in, put our fasteners in, and then we're good to go. And like I said, the fronts are going to be really, really easy compared to the rears, but we'll cover that more when we actually get to that one and go ahead and swap those out. But for now, let me get the front left and front right hand ones in. Again, just 2 T20 Torx, at least in this case. And it looks like these are the coarse threaded ones, and it doesn't look like there's a thread inside of these, so they'll have to cut its own threads on the way in. So just be careful you don't over tighten these when you're snugging them up. But I'll bring it right back. One moment. And welcome back. So we've got the fronts installed, and we're just following the instructions for the rear, since we have the rear on the vehicle. And what they had us do first was remove 3 push tabs, one here at the bottom, one here, and one here, and then kind of pry the lower fender out from behind the bumper. You can see some catches here on this wheel well liner. The next step is, and you may not be able to see this, hopefully you can see that bolt right there. Just going to put my finger on it. That is a 10mm bolt right up here in the corner that's joining the lower bumper to the rear quarter panel. And they want you to take that out, and then we'll do some manipulation of the bumper to get that to fall. Looking at their instructions here, so yeah, remove the 10mm bolt securing the bumper to the quarter panel. So that's what we're going to do next. Then they say push up on the bumper tabs while pulling out to gain access to the inside of the bumper. Now, it looks like, if you had the flexibility, you might be able to get the 2 fasteners that fasten this light assembly out without having to remove that upper 10mm bolt. But it is quite the tight fit. But I may give it a especially up in here where you can't really push this liner. So it looks like they'll have you just detach it from here and then kind of pull that gives you the ability to pull that bumper out to get to those fasteners easier. So let me get this 10mm bolt out up here and see what this is going to entail. Now I'm a little cautious on this side, because if you watch when we got this car from auction, you see we sanded down and painted an area in here, but it's still got a pretty good sized dent, and it's kind of smooshed in a little bit there. So I don't know how forgiving this is going to be as far as dropping this rear section of this bumper, but we'll give it a shot. So let me get this bolt out, and then I'll bring you back. One moment. And welcome back. As you can see, we've got our light, got the 2 fasteners out. Now, I did try to drop this 10mm like they say in their instructions, and be able to kind of, as they say, push up on some kind of bumper clip and then pull out. And I can't get this one to release. It is being held on by another fastener up in here somewhere. And the other difference I have with their instruction is, they show 2 tabs down here at the bottom. Now I have the 2 push pins you saw me remove earlier on the other side of the light. That's true, but they show 2 push pins down here that I don't have. So I think there's just a little bit of difference in how this is constructed with how they have the example in their video. And I did check out the one online, and unfortunately their video online doesn't go into detail about how to get this released. They literally just pull the bolt out and they pull the fender away. This one does not do that, trust me. I fought and fought with it. So I ended up eventually just, obviously with this bolt out and push the fender liner back, you can actually get in there, as you can see here, and you got a fair bit of flex, because again, this is all just plastic. I was able to get in there with this utility here. It's just kind of a right-angled ratcheting bit that holds on to these 1/4-inch Torx bits, and this worked out really well. I was able to kind of get behind them and just loosen them up, get them out. They're not very big. They're actually much shorter and a little bit beefier than the ones on the front. So once they were loose enough, then I could just kind of get in there with my hand and finish spinning them out. Now to get the new ones in, because you are cutting threads, what I'm going to do is get the new side marker light out, which this one is right hand, yep, right rear, so it's this one right here. I'm actually going to drive this mounting screw in by hand outside before I put it in place, basically pre-cut those threads, so it'll make it a bit easier to get this in. So then we should just be able to kind of reach in behind here, hand tighten in, get them to snug up, and then just reach in and maybe give it like another quarter turn or something with our tools just to kind of tighten it. But as you can see, once you get them out, this will fall out, and there's enough slack in the wire, at least on this one, that we can get that unplugged and get the new one plugged in. So this is what I'm going to work on, and I'll bring you back. One moment. And welcome back. So we're over on the driver's side. I'll show you the passenger side. We got it taken care of. So just like on the passenger side, we've got, in our case, again, 3 clips. We've got one down here in the bottom, one right here on this side of the light, one on there, that side of the light, and then we kind of just peeled this liner back. Now that 10mm bolt, kind of in the same spot right there. Let me get you some light. That's horrible to see. Right there, you can just kind of see it right at the end of the there we go, right at the end of the light there. That bolt will I'm going to take that out. Now again, as we discovered on the other side, I found it at least accessible to kind of use this right angle ratcheting, a little Craftsman wrench here, to get those out. And just like the fronts in my case, both front and rear are T20s. The instructions say T25. So I'm thinking there, obviously, there's just different variants of how this bumper is constructed, and of course the fasteners used for the lights. But as we discovered on doing the passenger side, to kind of get the room to work, if you can get this liner pushed back enough, there is enough room. You can kind of get in there even with a 1/4 inch ratchet and a Torx bit to get those fasteners out. Now what I found, you have to give it a little bit of muscle, but you can kind of fold this back, and I'll show you what it looks like when we get it done. But you can fold that liner back like that and just kind of use the tire to hold it in place, and then once you get it back enough, you've got just enough room, you can kind of reach in there. But let me get this bolt out, and then I'll peel this liner back and I'll show you what I mean. So one moment. And welcome back. So you can see we got our bolt out, which just helps the fender flex. But you can see what we've done with our liner. You can get enough of that liner kind of worked out of the fender here, enough of slack, and it just, like I said, it does take a little bit of muscle to do it, but it just doesn't harm the liner. It's just a wheel well liner. Just kind of get it folded back, as you can see there, getting the tire to kind of hold on to it so it doesn't move. But you can see it opens up this area back here where you can reach in here. Now you've got quite a bit of room. You can get to these 2 fasteners. And I was able to get in. It's easier to get in there with something like this because of the low profile, but like I said, you can get in there with a 1/4 inch ratchet. I'll actually show you what that looks like. And let's see if I can hold the light all at the same time. And the first fastener is kind of right down here, a little bit towards the bottom. There we go. You can see you got plenty of room. You can get a 1/4 inch there. And then the second fastener is a little higher up, and it's right there. So with that liner peeled back, you know, you got enough working space in here that you should be able to get these out without having to drop this lower bumper. At least it's an option for you in case you're running the same issues I was. So I'm going to get these 2 fasteners out, drop this light, and bring you back. One moment. And welcome back. So you can see we got the old one out, and there's just a 2-position electrical connector. Just unplug the old one, plug in the new one. Now, to make this a bit easier, even with the liner folded back, which again, that is the way to go. At least I'm finding on this particular make and model. Once you have that liner folded back, yeah, all the world of difference to get these old ones out. Again, you are threading into plastic, straight up plastic, with some pretty coarse hardware, as you can see here. So again, just kind of threaded them in a little bit by hand, tighten them down. Don't tighten them too far, because you could crack these little plastic towers that are on here. Just enough where you can kind of get maybe 3 or 4 or 5 threads started, because it'll make it easier once you have these in the fender like this to just kind of spin them like that and get them started. And once you have them started, then you can finish, you know, tighten them down the rest of the way. So we're gonna get the electrical done, get this popped in, and I'll bring you back when it's complete. And we did take advantage and try to get most of the crud that accumulated behind. There was quite a bit of dirt that accumulated behind these lights, so we got as much out as we could. So again, just trying to take advantage of cleaning up where we can. But I'm going to get this in and bring you back. One moment. And welcome back. As you can see, we got our light in at this point. We got our fender liner popped back into position. Like I said, and depending on how long you've had it folded that way, it may have like a memory effect to it where it kind of doesn't want to unfold. But once you get it pushed back into position, normally it'll just kind of pop back into its kind of pre-molded form. So all we have to do now is just replace some push clips. And yes, I'm gonna have to replace push clips on both sides because they're just they're old and weathered, and they're just full of crud, and most of them broke trying to get them out. So, you know, no harm, no foul. Anyway, we're gonna move on to the trunk and do some quick change outs there, and I'll bring you right back. One moment. And welcome back. We're just going to change these trunk lights out to LED, and this is what we have right now. We got 2 of these fixtures in the trunk. You can see it uses an incandescent bulb. We're going to go back in with this as a replacement, and again, these are red in color. You can get quite a few different color choices on Diode Dynamics site. But if we just take this bulb, pull it down a little bit, get it off the bottom hook, there we go. That can go off to the side. Now I'm going to put negative on top. Now incandescent bulbs, there's no polarity, so no worries. On these there are a polarity. You might be able to see it. There's a negative on the side of that board and a positive on the side of that board. So I'm going to put negative up top, and if it doesn't work, we just have to flop it around. Now this is the side the light comes out, so when you're putting these incandescents in, you can see they're 360 all the way around. So it doesn't matter how you put these in, the light's going to come out the front and the back. On these, however, not the case. So we're going to face these LEDs forward. Again, negative up top. And just push it down a little bit to get that bottom hook in. And there we go. So let's get these in the vehicle and see what they do. One moment. And welcome back. So I just got you pointed at kind of a dark corner here. We're getting the light of our day. So we're just going to take our fixture, plug it back in. Now this may not work because the body control module may have timed out and turned these lights off. So I'm going to close the trunk on you real quick and open it right back up. One moment. Okay, and you can see it looks like our light's still out, so it doesn't quite like our polarity. So this is what we need to do. Take this light out. Remember, we had negative up top, so we just want to flip it around, put positive up top, and you can see we've got light already, so perfect. There we go. Didn't mean to blind you. So we need to put positive up top on our other one. And I'm just doing that now off camera. And let me bring you over here real quick. You can see our other one's working. We're just going to get these pushed back into position, and then we'll move on to the next piece. One moment. And welcome back. So while we're on the back of the vehicle here, we're going to take advantage and go ahead and change out our license plate light. Now it looks like the one that we have up there currently may, again, as with all the lights so far, exterior of this vehicle, have already been LED. It doesn't hurt for us to change this out, because I guarantee you this will be brighter than what comes in their factory, and probably more of a bright white. But we should have a release tab right here. You just release, pull this forward, and it looks like we got just enough room to kind of get that connector off and get our new one on. So let me work on getting that connector out of there, and then we'll just remove the connector, put the connector on. You're going to feed this piece in first, and that piece will go forward and latch in place. So it's a pretty straightforward swap for the license plate one on this one. So I'll get this one finished changing this one out, and I'll bring you back. One moment. And welcome back. So we're just in the cab at this point, after getting our last set of lights in the trunk changed out, and we're going to change out our map lights. Now what we're going to change them out to, again, is a set of HP5 LED bulbs. Also, again, like we said earlier, red in color. Now, it's interesting, there's a little bit of a trick to getting these bulbs out, because they can be in there, and they can be in there quite tight. But first, what we're going to do is take our trim removal tool. You can see we've done this one already. And just get it underneath get it inside of an edge, and just kind of pop this out. There we go. And you can see we've got the one catch here on this end. Again, we could use our trim removal tool, or you can just kind of get up in there with your finger, pop that out, and this back lens should come out. But what I've had problems with before is that sometimes you've got to get your trim removal tool in there just to kind of manipulate this metal shield a little bit to get it to let go of these tangs. So it should pull straight out, but you obviously don't want to break it either. But to show you what that looks like on the end of that, that's what you're pulling out. So sometimes that metal shard, or shield, I should say, or heat shield, gets caught on the edges here, and you have to manipulate it. So let me do that. Let me get that cover off, and I'll bring you right back. One moment. And welcome back. Again, I know, I'm sorry, the light is swamping you out pretty good, but we got that lens off. I got this trick from Diode Dynamics website. We're going to take a piece of tape, because these bulbs can be a bit of a pain in the rear to get out of here. Let me tell you. We're going to put it around the bulb. We're going to tape that bulb up real good, and then we're just going to pull on our Scotch tape, and there we go. Comes out nice and quick and easy in that point. Now, we kind of hit the console and woke it back up, which is why you see this light come back on. So with this light on, we're just going to reach up in here. There you go. Perfect. We know we got our polarity correct. We're in our socket. There you go. We're just going to push it till it seats. So we're in. And now we can take our plastic diffusers and just go ahead and put those back in place. Didn't get the back to line up. Yeah, the back's not wanting to go back in. There we go. You kind of have to manhandle it just a little bit, but just be mindful you don't break it. So that one's back in. Let's do the same thing to this one. Let's get the backs seated. There we go. And we get our top one back in. Perfect. So we've got our lights replaced. Like I said, it's pretty straightforward. It's not too terribly bad. I'm sorry if the sun swamped out the camera quite a bit. But again, just pull the old bulbs out, put the new bulbs in. If they don't light up, just take them, flip them around, and put them back in place. And you should be good. So what's going to happen next is that we're just going to swap the lights out along with doing the door cards. So like I said, it should be a few moments for you, but it may be a few days for me. So I'll bring you right back. One moment. And welcome back to a few days later. We're getting back to our vehicle here. And I think the last clip you saw, we changed out the map lights to red LEDs. And we went ahead and picked up another one of these HP5 LED bulbs to change out the glove compartment light. Now obviously it's a little bit easier since we still have it removed from a previous video where we were installing the pin 11 pin to hook up to a hood latch for doing a remote start. So depending on the order in which these videos release, the remote start one may come out before this one, and or vice versa. But either way, that's why this is taken apart, was for doing the remote start video. But while we're doing the assembly, we're taking hold of the advantage to go ahead and change out this bulb as well. And just like the map light ones, it can be a little bit difficult to get this bulb out, even with this being removed. You don't have a lot of meat to grab onto, but you can wrap a piece of tape around it, just like we did the map lights, and then you should just be able to give it a pull, and there you go. They come right out. And same process as before. We'll get this installed. If it doesn't light, then we'll pull it out, we'll flip it around, and then put it back in, because remember the LEDs are polarity sensitive. But we're going to get this installed, get all this button back up, and we're going to wait for it to get a little bit more darker, a little bit darker out, and then we'll bring you back and show you what that looks like. One moment. And welcome back. Well, in the last clip, you would have saw that we changed out the glove box with a replacement red LED as well, and as you can see, it does a nice job of illuminating there. It's kind of getting in the twilight here. We got a lot of overcast due to rain, so it's light enough out here to still shoot, but it's dark enough out here that hopefully you get a nice effect there. Obviously, the darker it gets, the more pronounced these will become, but it does a fairly nice job. You see our map lights we changed out earlier. Those look nice as well. And again, just to comment on the door, you can kind of see it down here shining against my shoe. It still has the incandescents in it, but we'll change those out with the same ones we put in the trunk when we do the door cards. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and look at the trunk. Let's see, there we go. So you can see those there. Again, it's kind of twilight here. It's not a completely dark yet, so you don't see the full effect of these, but you can see what we got going on here. Look quite nice. And let's take a look at our side markers. Now, if you remember, we also went with the side markers front and rear in this video as well. So let's just turn our accessories on. So there's our front marker, and you can see, unlike the factory one, that the strip of LEDs in these Diode Dynamic lights pretty much run almost the full length of that clear reflector. Let's look at the back one. And you can see this one as well. So they're still color coded correctly. You still have the yellows up front where they belong, and the reds in the back where they belong. They just use a clear reflector on here instead of the colored one. But once again, you can see that light, and it's kind of swamping out the camera at this point, but you can see that runs the length of that versus the factory one, which I think only had like a couple of LEDs like in the middle and at the ends. It was a lot less than this and a lot less coverage than this. So those look actually quite nice. So let's go ahead and shut this off so it stops the annoying dinging. There we go, perfect. So a little bit shorter of a video than probably normally we would have on this channel, but I just wanted to highlight those as well and give you a little bit of an indication of kind of what they look like as it gets darker here. So just to recap, in this one we changed out our map lights to the red LEDs. The glove box has been changed out as well. The two trunk lights have been changed out, and we changed the four markers. The front two markers and the rear two markers on the sides have been changed out as well. And once again, we'll do the doors when we do the cards, but you're not going to miss much by not having that in this video. It's literally the same module as you saw earlier that we're using the trunk. We'll just change out the incandescent one on the door. Again, we'll do that one a little bit later. Now, you'll probably noticed there's also some footwell lights on both sides that are still kind of the normal yellowish warm white, if you want to call it that. I didn't see a replacement module for those, and those are a little bit more unique. It's actually, at least I know on this passenger side over here, it's actually a 4-wire connector because those lights can be dimmed, my understanding. So it would take a little bit of a special module to kind of change those out. So far, I haven't seen an LED replacement for that, but it's not too terrible because they are pretty diffused, and I don't want to say dim, but you can see it's a relatively low light level. So it's not really going to bother me per se. It's not going to swamp out any of our reasoning for going with the red lights, which is so that it doesn't play with our night vision. Having that little bit of non-red light kind of in the footwells really shouldn't bother anything that we have going on here. Now, at some point, if they do ever make a replacement module to factory replace these footwell ones with a red LED, I'll obviously make, I'll definitely, not obviously, but I'll definitely make a video and bring you along for that. Now, they do make an aftermarket kit, like an RGB kit, that you can get to light up the footwell, but I'd rather try and keep it factory, if at all possible. But with that being said, I will let you go, and I will bring you back for the next one. Thank you much. Bye.